Hello, I'll be interviewing Tim Sorensen today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What tends to be the most popular aspect of EYR within just young people that come from schools and people that take part?
I think it's the opportunity to get involved in a really big project with lots of different people from across the community, and for them to work on material in the school knowing that actually they're going to do something with it that's going to be broadcast, that other people are going to hear it, both parents and people in the wider community.
And in your eyes, what makes a successful EYR?
Well, we've never had an unsuccessful EYR as we approach our 16th year. I think what's exciting about it and what makes it successful is just the huge mix. We've got 4 5-year-olds working with 16, 17, 18-year-olds from the college here. We've got secondary students. We've got sponsors as diverse as universities, construction companies, private hospitals, charities, all working collectively together. And this brings a really fantastic diversity and mix to the project and creates some really, really exciting material for programmes.
And have some of these students stayed on to help work with it?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about EYR graduates now because we've been going for so long. We've had some students that started with us literally at primary school. They then progressed into secondary school, perhaps had another opportunity to be on EYR, and then maybe have come on courses here at the college. And some, of course, have gone on to university, and we do see some of those folk coming back to help, which is fantastic.
Do you know whether any of them have any jobs in the media now?
Yeah, we've got people working with the BBC, independent. One of the former students here is with Radio CBBC up north. We've got people working in magazines. So some people doing real work in the media, but it's not just about that. It's the fact that the project enables young people to develop a whole range of skills which they'll find useful whatever their chosen profession.
What changes have you seen that EYR has taken over time?
Very little. And that's not to say that we are a project that doesn't change and evolve. It's a project that has found its own natural level.
It works.
Absolutely. It was always established to be a community-based project. We haven't come away from that format. Working with the sponsors, doing it in a magazine style has proven itself. And although we've done things like Battle in the Bands in the past, which was great fun, it actually became so successful that we had to stop doing it because it was such a distraction really from the rest of the project. So the model has stayed pretty much the same, we evaluate every year, and students and teachers universally applaud the success of the project and always look forward to it the following year. So it's one of those situations, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And do any of parents contact you after EYR is finished?
We have contact both before, during and after. Obviously parents are very keen to hear programmes, perhaps they're at work or away. Now years ago that was a bit of a problem because we didn't have a listen back facility, but we now have that. We have parents contacting us for dedications, and sometimes coming back to us asking about things like work experience for students, which of course is why Meet the Media, that particular programme, is so helpful, where we've got the professionals who can actually give some of that help and advice to the students.
What first inspired EYR? How did it first take off?
It came about really as a result of a chance meeting through another project that I was running at the time, and now we are going back 16 years and I'm still here to tell the tale. And it coincided with a project that we were running in Eastbourne, which was very much community based, along with a number of other organisations. And what I wanted to do was try and find an opportunity to engage those projects with our schools. And it just happened that I'd got a background in radio, particularly hospital radio. The guy I was talking to, who was working with BBC Kent and Oxford, had done some school-based projects. And as a result of a conversation over a coffee, the idea of Eastbourne Youth Radio was born, not just to have it as a single school project, but as a town, as a community-wide project. And we started with 12 schools over a 24-hour period. And from that we've now grown to an average of about 26 schools a year over 3 days and 55 hours of broadcasting.
That's brilliant. What guidelines do you use to protect the young people that get brought into this?
Well, we follow standard child protection policies. Obviously any adults that are working on a regular basis with the children have to be checked. But for the majority of those links, it's a very light touch in terms of the links between young people and the businesses that are coming involved. So your requirements in terms of those protections are perhaps less rigorous, but otherwise we're working with an educational setting, so the normal protections apply.
As well, with the content on the show, it's all family friendly.
It's all family friendly, absolutely. We have to record and log everything that happens. In fact, that enables us to then have the listen back facility anyway. And I'm pleased to say that the only hiccups we possibly get from time to time are when tracks that are club mixes accidentally get played. But to be honest, over the 15 years that we have broadcast, that's a very, very occasional slip up. Most of the time I think we've been fine. We haven't had any real problems. I certainly don't have a catalogue of complaints that have been filed against the project, and if that were to happen, then Ofcom would very much look at our renewal of our licence every year, and we've never had an issue with that.
What's your favourite aspect of EYR? What's your personal?
I think for me it is literally the bringing together of all the different people, and the fact that whilst we may have a general idea of what programme's going to be about, it's not until you actually hear it, and in some cases from the studio see it, which is the slight advantage obviously being this end of it, so to speak. It's just that mix, that diversity, and sort of things that stick in your mind. I mean, for example, in the room that we're in now, we've had pupils from St Andrews in the past doing live performances of Midsummer Night's Dream completely with their own sound effects. We've had students from Cavendish School in the studio doing the breakfast show, eating pretzels at the same time, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, but actually it makes for some really amusing radio. We've had flower arranging and cheese tasting from students at Plumpton College, and again, how does that work on the radio? But then you've only got to look at programmes on Radio 2 where you've got a guy talking from an allotment in Wales, and how actually brilliant that is in terms of radio, the atmosphere it creates. So it's that diversity, it's listening to choirs, bands, it's the live stuff. Some of it's pre-recorded and that's fine, but EYR really is a live project, and as much of that as live as possible, and that makes for excitement and sometimes the unexpected and the unknown, and then you're into the problem solving challenges for the students, and that's great fun too.
Yeah, from personal experience, when I think about EYR before I took place, it was quite daunting because it was 3 days straight and I would have to be in for a lot of that. Do you feel any of that, or do any so the course leaders that take part in it, do they feel the same?
I think it's fair to say that certainly some of the teachers involved do go through that feeling, and you do sense those nerves beforehand. And what was interesting in 2015 is that we had some very familiar schools involved in the project, but a lot of very new teachers. So for them it was quite a steep learning curve as well. I'd like to think that we are fairly well organised in our management of the project now, that most things don't faze us. And if they do, we know how to deal with them. But I think certainly from the students' point of view, the pupils that come in, a lot of them will say how nervous they were beforehand. But actually nerves are a positive thing. If you can learn to actually manage what you do with your nerves, actually that can create a really good performance. And I think many professional people, artists will tell you that. But teachers themselves certainly do share in those nerves. But when they come out of it, there is a huge buzz and a real sense of achievement, and that's what EYR is all about.
Has anything stood out this year especially? Has anything?
Well, I get asked this question, and I think it's almost unfair to single out individual years, because every year has its own uniqueness, and that's brought about by the individuals that take part in the programmes, by the sponsors who are involved. So I wouldn't say that there was anything, if you like, especially different about 2015, but it was a cracking year. 55 hours of continuous programmes. I always say that you can have a silent movie, but you can't have silent radio, and we didn't have silent radio. We had some great programmes. We had some fantastic debates around making a noise about bullying, which was our theme for last year with the Sussex Police and Crime Commissioner. So some really important debates in there, as well as some fun and exciting things too.
So EYR wouldn't be what it is today without the people that take part in it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think Eastbourne should be really proud of the fact that it has sustained the project for this length of time. But of course we have students that also come in from Hailsham, from Seaford, and we've had other organisations who have got involved from time to time. Just depends on the capacity that we have. We've got a limit of those 3 days with a licence. But yeah, it is about the people. And you know, we have a regular cohort of schools that take part, so they know what the formula is. And I'm sure some of them will be thinking even now about what their plans are going to be for this coming November.
Thank you for answering my questions. Is there anything you want to say about EYR coming up?
Well, I would just like to say that as always, EYR never stops. We are currently planning for our next broadcast, which will be the 16th to the 18th of November this year. We will be launching around about the Easter break, as we usually do, and already starting to speaking to some of the sponsors. So the machine moves on. So whilst it might be a bit quiet behind the scenes, there is actually quite a bit already going on, and we look forward again to another exciting 3 days of broadcasting.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.